Hello and welcome everyone. This is Bar Sculpt. My name is Amanda. For today's class, we'll be using a set of light weights. I'm just using 1 pound dumbbells. Feel free to go heavier if you'd like. You can go without weights. If you don't have weights, you can use water bottles of equal weight. You can use candles, soup cans. You can also grab those little nifty ankle weights and place them on your ankles for the entire duration of class. If you have a second pair, you can bring them onto your wrist or vice versa, and or without the handheld weights. In addition to the weights, we will also use a ball. Disregard my deflated ball here. I have yet to put more air into it. We'll be using the ball between our thighs, so something of the size that you're able to squeeze your thighs together and keeping that ball in place. If you don't have a ball, of course, you can always use a block if you have one. Just making sure to be mindful it'll be between your thighs, so the block could hurt after a while when we're pulsing and holding those low positions. You could also use a pillow between your thighs, or a large piece of cloth or towel maybe, and just compress it in between. Something that's going to give you a little bit of resistance. So any kind of fabric would be fantastic. All right, let's go ahead and start with our warm-up. If you're tracking your workouts, of course, go ahead and track your workout by starting your device. We're going to stand with our feet hip-width apart and pillow. We're going to draw our knees up towards our chest. You want to try to bring those knees to hip height, so your shoulders remain stacked over your hips. Strong point through your toes. You lift your knees up. Try to avoid really teeter-tottering from side to side. Nice, tall standing posture. I can talk today. All right, from here, we're going to go ahead and draw that knee up and over, opening up that hip as you come down. Press the right hip back, bending deep into that right knee, straightening that left leg, and then switching sides. So you're still drawing that knee, but you're drawing it up and over towards the opposite hip, and then opening up that hip over to a side lunge. Your toes continue to face forward for the entire duration, really pressing your hips back, getting lower each time. Let's do one more on each side. And then we will come down to a low wide squat, so your feet are wider than your hips. Your toes are slightly turned out. Avoid bringing them completely facing parallel, slightly turned out to about 10 and 2 o'clock. Bend your knees down, bending your knees towards your ankles. Arms are out to a T. Reach down, tapping towards the opposite inside ankle. As you come to standing, try pulling your arms back, really stretching your shoulders, coming back to standing. Draw the arms back out to a T, tapping your opposite hand down towards the opposite ankle. Maybe reaching for the inside of your calf, maybe your knee, your thigh, reaching for whatever you can today. Keep it going. Reach down, tapping towards the opposite ankle and back upright. That's it. Let's do one more on each side. Really drawing those arms back out to a T. All right, last one here if you're with me. Go ahead and hold those arms out to a T. Your hips are nice and low. Arms are forward in a windmill motion. Your chest is lifted. Really warming up those shoulders. Keep your shoulders stacked directly over your hips. Go ahead and reverse that direction. Just opposite direction of your shoulders. From here, we're going to slightly hinge forward at our waist. We're going to give ourselves a nice big hug. And then as you open up your arms, squeeze your shoulder blades together. Once again, the same position that we were doing, but from an upright position. Now we're hinged forward. So giving yourself a nice big hug, and then opening up those arms. So I forgot to mention earlier, in addition to the set of light weights, if you like, totally optional, or a ball, again, you can also use another object instead. We're also going to be using a bar or a ledge. I have a stool here, so you can use a ledge on a door frame, a doorknob. You can use a couch ledge, a chair of any height. All right, go ahead and come on down to a runner's lunge. Your right knee down, your right toes are flat, pressing into that left knee. Opening up your chest here. Your shoulders remain stacked over your hips. Your left knee is not tracking out over your toes, not passing your toes, but it is tracking over your toes. So you're not bringing your knee over to the side or drawing it inward, that's not going to be very comfy. Go ahead and draw your hips back as you straighten that front left leg. Maybe point, flex, circle out that ankle. Go ahead and hold the left toes flexed. Hinge forward, framing your left toes. Maybe bringing your nose towards your knee, heart towards your thigh, holding and breathing. Feeling that stretch all on the back side of your left leg. And then just coming up gently and slowly, switching sides, left knee down, stepping a big step forward with your right foot, pressing into that right knee, opening up your left hip here. Again, your shoulders remain stacked over your hips. Keep your shoulders relaxed down from your ears. Chest is nice and lifted. Your knee is tracking it over your toes, so we're not opening up that hip. We're not drawing that knee inward. It's just directly over your ankle, and you're pressing it forward. Go ahead and straighten your front right leg. As you point and flex, maybe circle out that right ankle, whatever feels good to you in this moment today. Go ahead and hold the right toes flexed. Hinge forward, framing your right foot with both of your hands. With the right toes flex up towards the ceiling, hinge forward, maybe bringing your nose towards your knee, heart towards your thigh. Enjoying and embracing that stretch all along the back side of your right hamstring. And then gently come on up to standing. Roll your shoulders back. Roll them forward. Shake out anything else that you may need to do so. Maybe grab a sip of water. All right, go ahead and grab your set of light weights from here. We're going to come to a wide stance. So your toes are slightly turned out. From here, we're going to turn our right toes facing forward, left toes facing out. Bend into that left knee. We're going to come into warrior two. We're going to go ahead and bring the arms up overhead as you pivot the left toes. Bring the arms down in front, cross and cross. Arms come up overhead, pivot the right toes. Bend into that right knee. Arms come down to a T. Arms come up. Pivot the right toes. Arms are forward. Cross, arms up, pivot the left toes, bend into that left knee, arms are to a T, extend it up, pivot the left toes, arms come down, crisscross. Keep it going. That's it. Crisscross. All right, go ahead and relax it down. From here, we are going to go ahead and bring our thumbs towards our shoulders. We're going to extend that right leg directly out from the right hip. Make sure you have plenty of space behind you. We have a curtsy lunge with an overhead press. So the right toes tap directly to the right. And then with an overhead press, as you draw that right knee back diagonally behind you, maybe that right knee taps the floor ever so gently. Maybe it just comes close. Pressing up and releasing down. Keep it going. Moving here with control, pressing up and coming back down. Just a gentle tap with that right knee. Chest is nice and lifted. That's it. Just a few more here. All right, last one. All right, go ahead and draw that right sole of your foot to the inside of your left foot. So your left knee is tall and standing. You're drawing the sole of your right foot to the inside of that left ankle. If your toes are flat on the floor, you can bring it up to your calf. If you would like, you can bring it up to the inside of your left thigh, just avoiding that left knee area. You really want to open up that hip. We're going to bring the palms facing down still, and we have a bicep curl, holding in that tree stance. So try to avoid swaying side to side. Maybe bring your gaze up, challenge your balance. Your core is engaged, standing tall on that left leg. If you get the weebles and wobbles, that's okay. Just come back into it. Find your breath. Hold that tree position. Bicep curl and extend. Again, that right sole of your foot can be on the floor. Just with your heel in towards your left ankle. You can also have it propped up on your ankle entirely, or on the inside of your calf, the inside of your left thigh, just avoiding that right knee. Give me one more. All right, go ahead and release it down. From here, now we have the left side. So palms are facing in this time, just as we're doing a bicep curl. That left leg curtsies back, arms extend up overhead. So you're keeping those arms close in towards your face. They're framing your face like the number 11. Your forearms continue to rise up. Palms are facing towards your face and drawing them back in. Just the left toes tap back diagonally and then directly out from the left hip. Keep it going. That's it. Just a few more here. And one more. All right, come back to standing, drawing the sole of your left foot to the inside of your right ankle. Again, that right leg is your base. Stay nice and tall. Roll your shoulder blades back, so with one weight in each hand. Sole of your left foot to the inside of that right ankle, maybe your calf, maybe drawing it all the way up to the inside of that right thigh. If you like, wherever you're at, just opening up that left hip. We're going to go palms facing in. And we have a hammer curl while holding it in that tree position. Chest is nice and lifted. So avoid letting your tree sway from side to side. Try to keep it nice and still. As I pretend to sway side to side, then I actually do sway side to side. Keep it going. If you lose your balance, maybe tap your toe down. Come back into it. That is okay. All right, go ahead and release that left foot down. Shake it out. We're going to find our wide-legged stance. So your feet are wider than your hips. Your toes are slightly turned out. Arms come out to a T. From here, we're going to keep that right leg straight. We're going to draw the left hand down towards the right toes. Right arm comes up and draw it back center. Switching sides, alternating. As that opposite hand comes down towards the floor, towards the ankle, maybe your shin, maybe your knee or your thigh, your opposite hand is up towards the ceiling. Just bending and extending into those hips. You're keeping those legs completely straight. Your arms are also straight. Just tick-tocking your arms as you pivot your hips. That's it. One more on each side. And then we're going to grab that ball. All right. Go ahead and set those weights down. Trade in for your ball, your pillow, whatever you have. Maybe that block. Place it between your thighs. We're going to find that chair or that ledge from here. Let me check my notes. Make sure I got everything right. All right. Ball between your thighs. Feet are hip width apart and parallel. Come up onto your low tippy toes. Bend your knees. Your hand can be on your hip, your left or right, whatever is not on that bar, that ledge. And from here, we just have little circles with the hips, tiny circles here. You can also always work from your feet being flat on the floor. You can also work from high tippy toes, and just drawing your hips in that circle. It does not matter which direction you start with. Of course, we are going to do both directions. Keep it going. Tiny circles, just the hips, squeezing that ball. Feet are flat on the floor, low heels or tippy toes. And then reverse that direction. Whatever direction you started with, go in that reverse direction. Just a light grip of your hand on your hip. You can also bring that arm out to a T, hand wide behind your head. Just a light grip on that bar, that ledge. Maybe a door frame, maybe a doorknob. Just little circles here. Keep it going. All right, few more. And then we're going to add on here. All right, so from here, go ahead and bring your hips back to center. You're in a standing position. We're going to bend those knees, come up onto your highest tippy toes. We're going to pulse the hips and the knees twice. Lower the heels, straighten the knees, bend the knees, lift the heels, pulse it down for 2, lower the heels, straighten the legs. So from a side position, Your shoulders remain stacked over your hips the entire time. Bend in your knees, lift the toes, pulse, pulse, lower the heels, straighten the legs. Keep it going here. Pulse and pulse, lower the heels, straighten the legs, bend the knees, lift the heels, pulse it down for 2. So your shoulders stay stacked directly over your hips. Avoid hinging forward, avoid hinging backwards, avoid teeter-tottering from side to side. From here, keep it going. Lower the heels, straighten the legs, bend the knees, lift the heels, pulse and pulse. Just a few more here. Really warming up those calves. That's it. All right, go ahead and bend into the knees. Hump onto that right tippy toe and just a little pulse and pulse. So you're still squeezing that ball. Your right tippy toe is lifted. Your right tippy toe lifted, your left foot is flat, and you're just pulsing it. Tiny little pulses. Shoulders remain stacked over your hips. You can again bring your elbows wide behind your head, really keeping your chest nice and open. Just little pulses here. Just that right heel is lifted. We're going to switch here, and 5, and 4, that's 3, 2, and 1. Hold the knees bent, lower the right heel, lift the left heel. So notice my hips, my shoulders did not move. I did not pop up. I stayed nice and low, whether my heel is raising or lowering. Hold that left heel lifted, and pulse, and pulse. Little pulses here, still squeezing that ball between your thighs. I know it's in the funky position because that ball shifted just a little bit. That's okay. Tiny little pulses and pulse and pulse. Give me 5 and 4. That's 3, 2, and 1. All right. From here, we're going to keep that ball. We're going to come back to a standing position. So set that little bar off to the side. We're not going to use it for the remainder of the class. It's just a small portion we used it. Bring that ball to the outside of your right hip, staying tall on your left leg. Micro bend in your left knee. Extend that right leg out from the hip. Straight right leg. Flex the right toes. Again, that ball is pressing to the outside of your right hip. We're going to press that ball in as we raise the right leg. Release and lower. Press, lift, release and lower. So you are lifting that leg directly out from the hip and bring it back in. You don't have to come all the way to hip height. Don't worry about that. Worry about really keeping your shoulders stacked over your hips. So instead of leaning from the side to get that leg nice and high, focus on just a tiny raise and a tiny lower. And you also want to press that ball deep in towards your thigh so you're creating that resistance and limiting your range of motion as you raise and lower that right leg. Core is nice and engaged. A micro bend in that standing left leg. Your left toes are glued down into the floor. Your big toe back to your pinky, straight back to your heel. Press, lift, press, lift. Give me 3 and 2 and 1. Go ahead and release it down. Maybe shake it out. Switch that ball to the left hip. Micro bend in your standing right leg. Extend that left leg straight out from your hip. Flex the toes, straight left leg. We're going to press and lift, release and lower. That's it. Keep it going. So really avoid leaning to the side to get that leg nice and high. If you're just getting it an inch or 2 off the floor, that is perfectly fine. Maybe noticing how one side you have more range of motion than the other. That's also completely normal, completely fine. Keep it going. Noticing your body and how it's different from one side to the other. Really pressing that ball into the outer left hip. Simultaneously, you're pressing that left leg out. You're releasing that ball and letting that leg come down. The press of that ball is limiting your range of motion. That's creating that resistance and working that outer hip. Give me 2 more. Last one. All right, go ahead and release it down. We're going to come onto the floor. We're going to swap out our ball for our weights. We're going to bring our knees hip width apart, so we're in a kneeling stance. The top shoelace portion of your toes are flat on the floor. From here, we have our palms facing up. We have a bicep curl with the hips lower to a hover. We're not lowering them all the way down. That's too comfortable. lower them to a hover, and then back up. So as you lower them about 45 degrees, you're coming to that bicep curl and then lifting back up. Keep it going. Chest stays nice and lifted. Squeeze your glutes the entire time. We're working the tops of those thighs here. The top shoelace portion of your toes are flat on the floor. Your chest is lifted. Your core is engaged. You're drawing the palm to the same shoulder as you draw your hips down towards your glutes, down towards your heels. Keep it going. All right, we are going to hold those hips halfway. So we're not going to be up in an upright position. We're not going to sit down onto our heels. You want that resistance on. So you're just an inch or two above your heels. We're going to bring our arms directly out from our shoulders. And from here, we're going to press up and releasing down. Your palms are facing away from you. So the same direction that you are looking is the same direction that your palms are facing. Again, your hips are hovering those heels. If you find that you're lifting all the way up to standing, maybe sink your hips back down. Don't come all the way down towards the floor if that's too cozy. You find out that you're going in either of those directions to standing or towards your hips and your heels. Take a breather, come back into it. All right, last one. All right, from here, now we have the same thing, but we're going to draw our knees wide. So our toes are touching and your knees are wide. Again, we're not going to be in a seated position and we're not going to be totally standing the entire time. So we're starting in this standing stance. Our palms are facing in with that hammer curl. So you're coming down halfway, lifting back up, halfway, lifting back up. The top shoelace portion of each foot is flat on the floor. The width of your knees is up to you. Maybe if you have super flexible hips, you can draw your knees wider apart, making that larger V. Keep it going. Your thumbs are coming up towards the same shoulder. Your hips are not coming towards those heels. They're not tapping. They're coming about halfway and lifting right back up. Very small range of motion here. Slow it down and control it. 2 more. Last one. All right, I want you to hold it here. We're going to bring the arms directly out from the hips. Palms are facing down towards the floor. We're going to press the arms forward, draw the elbows back, press it forward, draw it back. So you're alternating right over left, elbows pull back, left over right, elbows pull back. So as you draw those elbows back, again, you're not staying all the way down, you're not standing, your hips are hovering, your elbows and your wrists are at the same height, you're extending forward, you're drawing those elbows back, extend it forward, draw those elbows back. Try to avoid moving your chest forward or backwards. You want your upper body to be completely still. Draw it forward, pull it back, forward, pull it back. Keep it going. We're going to set these weights down here. Give me 1 more in each direction. All right, go ahead and set those weights down. Now, option to use your ball here, but we're not going to use it as we have traditionally. We're going to use it under our wrist. So if you're using that pillow, you can also use that. The ball is a little bit more of a challenge because it's going to want to roll around on you. That's what we want. We want you to engage that core. So from here, go ahead and find your tabletop position with the ball under your right hand. Your left wrist is under your shoulder. Your knees are stacked directly under your hips. We're going to bring that left forearm down. With your right hand remaining boxed out, we're going to lift that right hip. So draw that right knee in towards your right elbow and then kick that leg back up towards diagonal. Flex your right toes, draw the knee to the elbow, and then kick it back. Keep it going. Your knee does not have to touch your elbow. You do want to move in that direction. So knee towards the elbow and then kick it straight back. Kicking back as if you're kicking back to diagonal. So you're not kicking down, you're not kicking out, it's up to that diagonal. Knee to the elbow and kick it straight back. Knee to the elbow, kick it straight back. Keep it going. Try to avoid Really lean into that left arm. If you find that you're really leaning to that left arm, walk that left hand closer towards the right and still continue to go. Keep your core pulled in towards your spine. That's it. Give me 3 more. And 2. 1 more here. All right, hold that right leg lifted. From here, bend the knee, point the toes, and then we're just going to raise and lower. Tiny little waves of that right hip. You are working that outermost part of your right glute in your right hip. Keep the right toes pointed, lift and lift. Your top shoelace portion of your left knee, your left foot is flat on the floor. Your left forearm remains down. You can keep your right hand on that ball. You can also place it directly on the floor. Just waving that right thigh as if you're just waving. Keep it going. Little lifts, little pulses at the top. All right, from here, go ahead and release that right knee down. Set that ball off to the side. We're going to bump the hips side to side for a nice little stretch here. So coming back to where we started, with your wrists directly under your shoulders, your knees are directly under your hips. We're going to tuck our toes. We're going to lift our knees so our shins are hovering. We're going to open our knees, close them back to parallel, open, back to parallel, knees tap, and lift. So you're opening and closing, opening and closing, tap down and lift. Keep it going. If you don't want to come into that bear, you can still keep your knees down and just alternate fire hydrants side to side. You're working that outermost part of that right hip. It's also a nice stretch for what we just did, moving that diagonal direction. So whether you're keeping those knees flat on the floor the entire time, just alternating, extend the leg out to the side. You can also tuck the toes, shins hovering, open, close, knees tap, and lift. Wherever you're at, give me 1 more. All right, go ahead and release the knees down. Maybe come back. Maybe find a child's pose. Stretch the fingertips out long. All right, let's get into it. Let's do the opposite side, keeping everything symmetrical. So grab that ball, keep it with you. Place the ball under your left hand. Your right wrist is directly under your shoulder. Your knees are directly above. Your knees are directly below your hips. Go ahead and release that right forearm down to the floor. Keep that left hand boxed out. Lift your left knee and draw the left knee in towards your left elbow. Flex the left toes and then kick it straight up and back to that diagonal. Your right palm can be facing up or facing down. You are working that outermost part of your left glute and your left hip here. You are simultaneously challenging your core by keeping your left palm pressed into that ball. You can, of course, always set it off to the side and just press your fingertips or your left palm into the floor. Whatever you decide, keep it going. Left knee towards the left elbow and then kick it straight back. Core is engaged. Just a few more. Give me 2 more. All right, 1 more. Hold that left leg back to diagonal. Bend the knee, point the toes, and little lifts and lifts. Tiny lifts here, little lift here. Imagining that you are just waving with that left leg. You are once again working the outermost part of your left hip here. If you find that you're really leaning into that right elbow, you can walk that right elbow closer in toward your midline, still keeping your left hand planted to where it was. That will allow you to prevent leaning into that right side. Keep it going. We're going to lay on our side after this. So give it all you got with those left waves here. Keep the left toes pointed. Little lifts up for 3, 2, and 1. All right, go ahead and release that ball off to the side. We're going to come and find a nice cozy spot laying on the floor. Laying on our left side, you can prop your head up just like you're laying at the beach. You can also lay all the way down if you would like. With both of your knees bent, Your top right toes flexed. Your bottom leg is just relaxed, just hanging out there. We're going to lift that top right knee, extend, bend the knee, lower, lift, extend, bend the knee, lower, and lift. So once again, we are working the inner and outer thighs. That right toe is flexed. Really avoid pressing off of that bottom left leg. You want that top hip stacked directly over your bottom right. You want your top right stacked over your bottom left. I can get my left and right straight, I promise. Keep it going. Extend and bend. So your top hip is always stacked over the bottom. We'll just stick with that. We won't go into left or right. All right, keep it going. Always an option to also bring your top hand up towards the ceiling, challenging your balance. Engage your core. That's it. All right, from here, hold that knee lifted. Bend into that knee. Point the toes. We're going to tap behind and then tap in front, tap behind, and tap in front. Now, you can keep that lower left leg straight. You can also challenge yourself by keeping it bent. Oh my goodness, you guys. You can keep that bottom leg bent, or you can challenge yourself by keeping it straight. There we go. I got it right this time. And you want to tap down, your toes behind, your knee in front. Tap your toes behind, your knee in front. So maybe try it with your legs straight. You can also always come back to your knee being bent. That allows you to keep your core engaged. If you'd like more heat to your core, if you want to add more of a challenge there, hold that leg straight. Tap down and lift. All right, go ahead and extend that top leg. Point the toes, straighten that leg. Again, that bottom leg can be straight or bent. We're just going to raise and lower. So if you have that bottom leg straight, that is more of a challenge. If you find that you're weeble wobbling forwards and backwards and your top hip is not staying stacked directly over the bottom, go ahead and bend into that lower knee. You can also always challenge your balance by bringing your top hand up towards the ceiling and just lift and lower. That top leg is never resting. It's not coming down to the floor because you'll notice, although it's a nice stretch, we'll do that later, you're just pulling that hip forward ever so slightly. You want to keep that hip nice and open. That's it. 5 more. And 4. That's 3. 2. And 1. All right, now we're going to lower that leg all the way down to the floor. Maybe you roll your hips slightly back, bringing that heel towards the floor. Maybe you slightly roll forward, bringing your big toe onto the ground. Just feeling that nice stretch in your outer hip. We did a lot of outer hip work. All right, go ahead and switch sides. Now we're going to come laying onto our right side, doing everything that we just did, keeping it symmetrical on the left side. So again, propping yourself up with your right hand. Maybe extend that right arm out long. Your knees are bent. We're going to lift that top leg, extend the knee, bend the knee, and lower. Lift, extend, bend, and lower. Keep it going. Keep that top foot flexed. Your bottom leg is just relaxed. Your bottom leg just went through all of the same work. It's just hanging out. Keep it going. Tap, lift, extend, bend, tap. Keep it going. That's it. Just a few more. 2 more. Last one. All right. Bend that knee. Hold that knee bent. Point the toes. We're going to tap the knee in front. Tap the toes behind. Tap the knee in front. And tap the toes behind. Keep it going. That's it. Slow and controlled. Almost there. Knee tap in front, toe tap behind. Slow and controlled. So that bottom knee can be bent if you want more of a challenge. You can straighten that bottom leg, of course, keeping those toes relaxed. Now, your moving leg, those toes are going to be pointed. Knee taps in front, toe taps behind, trying to keep that top hip nice and still, completely stacked over the bottom. Give me one more. All right, from here, go ahead and extend that left leg directly out. Point the toes, straight left leg. We're going to raise and lower. Just a raise and lower. So once again, don't worry about coming super high. If that's comfortable for you, that's perfect. Most important thing is that your leg is straight. So no bends in the knee. Nice straight leg. Your toes are pointed. You're lowering and you're lifting. If it's just a few inches off of your lower leg, that's perfectly fine. Doing what you can today. Just a lift and a lower. And again, not tapping that left leg on the floor. We'll get to that stretch here in just a few. Just a lift and a lower. You can bring your top left hand up towards the ceiling. You can bend into that lower knee to make it less of a challenge. Doing what you can today. Just a lift and a lower. Give me 3 more. And 2. Last one. All right, go ahead and release that leg down. Maybe bringing the entire inside of your left foot on the floor. Really stretching that outer left hip here. All right, let's come on to our back. And we don't need any equipment. So just yourself in the floor, laying all the way down. We're going to bend the knees and we're going to bring the soles of the feet together. So your knees are making a diamond shape. Your knees are open. Your toes are together. Your neck is flat on the floor. So from here, you can also cactus your arms by keeping your chest nice and open. We're going to extend the legs and bring them together. Bend as you open the knees. Extend together. Bend and open. Keep it going. Your lower back is pressed firmly into the floor at all times. Not a speck of air, not a speck of water. Nothing can get through between your lower back and that floor. Knees bend. Your heels come down towards your knees. And then as you straighten the legs, your legs are zipped in one long line. Keep it going. Knees bend. And extend, knees bend, and extend. That's it. Just a few more. All right, from here, go and hold the knees bent. So you want your heels at knee height. So if they're closer in towards your glutes, that's more of a relaxing pose. You want to keep that resistance on. And your knees are tracking over your hips, but they are wider than your hips. So what I mean is that you're not drawing your knees in toward your shoulders. They're staying directly over your hips. From here, with your arms still as a cactus to keep your shoulders open, we're just going to close the knees and open, close and open. So similar to what we just did, except we're keeping the knees bent. Your navel is pulled into your spine the entire time, just like any core or leg work that you're doing laying on your back. Your lower back is pressed firmly into the floor. Your shoulders are also glued to the ground. Your gaze is up towards the ceiling, keeping your neck at neutral spine. Just open and close. Your knees do not have to touch. And just moving in that direction. Keeping it going. Your core is engaged. Just an open and a close. Open and close. Almost there. Core is nice and engaged. From here, we're going to lift the legs up towards the ceiling, still with your back flat on the floor. We're going to lower the right leg and lift. Just the right leg is lowering and lifting. You're not tapping that leg on the floor. It's just coming to a hover. You can also bend that leg if you'd like to release some of that pressure off of your hip flexors. So if you find that keeping your legs straight and lowering and lifting that leg is hurting your hips, just bend your knees and still doing the same motion of bringing your toes or your heels towards the floor. Just that right leg is moving. So whether your knees are bent, your leg is straight, doing what you can. Your lower back is pressed firmly into the floor by drawing your navel into your spine. Just a lower and lift of that right leg. Keep it going. Give me 5 more. And 4. That's 3. Last 2. And 1. Go ahead and draw that right leg up. All right, draw your knees in towards your chest. Roll from side to side. We're not done yet. The fun has just begun. Go ahead and draw your legs back up towards the ceiling. Again, your legs can be straight. You can have a slight bend. You can have a full 90-degree bend. Whatever you'd like. Maybe cactusing your arms. Just that left leg lowers and lifts. Point the toes. Trying to get those toes further away from the crown of your head as you extend that leg long to a hover. So your lower back is pressed firmly into the floor. So we've talked about bending the knees. Now, if you find that your lower back is arching up, or if you have any discomfort whatsoever in your lower back as you lower the legs, only lower them to the depth that works for you. So if it's going all the way down here and your lower back is staying pressed into the floor, that's perfectly fine. If you find that your back is arching up and you can bring your hands or any little bit of space under your lower back, then don't lower your legs that far. Only lower them as far as you can without your lower back lifting off of the floor or having any discomfort. If your hip flexors are bothering you, you can bend more into that knee, still doing the same movement. Just bringing that toe or heel down towards the floor. Keep it going, slow and controlled. Moving here, 5 more. And 4. That's 3. Last 2. And 1. All right, draw your knees in towards your chest. All right, go ahead and bring your feet flat on the floor. Grab that ball, that block, that pillow, whatever you'd like. Place it between your thighs with your feet hip-width apart and parallel, arms down by your side, palms facing down. We're just going to do a glute bridge raise and lower. So you're lifting your hips up. As you lift your hips up, squeeze your glutes. Imagine those glutes are a sponge, and you want to get all of that excess water, that excess soap out of that sponge. You want it to be a completely dry, brand new sponge. That's it. Just lift and lower. Just the hips lift, so we're not doing a full bridge or wheel. Keep your shoulders flat on the floor, tap down and lift. Just the hips. Squeeze that ball, feet are flat on the floor. Lift and lower. Keep it going. A few more just like this. Almost there. That's 7 and 6. Last 5 and 4, 3, 2, and 1. Hold the hips lifted. Now we have little squeezes of that ball. Maybe you're imagining that your knees can touch. If you're not using any object whatsoever, pretend that you're squeezing a piece of paper between your thighs and you want it to stay there. You do not want it to fall between your thighs. Squeezing it that tight. You're not completely releasing it, so whatever object you're using falls. You're keeping that tension on and just squeezing even tighter. That's it. Last 8 and 7. That's 6. 5. and release your hips down. Set the ball off to the side. Draw your knees in towards your chest. Maybe roll from side to side. From here, go ahead and extend your left leg long. Draw your right knee in towards your right shoulder. Flex your left toe so your left leg is hovering. Tuck your chin in towards your chest. Hover your shoulders. Point, flex, or circle out that right ankle. And then relaxing the left leg down the floor, relaxing your shoulders. With your left hand, grab the outside of your right leg. Draw it across the left side of your body, gazing, looking over your right shoulder. Coming back to center, keeping that right knee in towards your right shoulder. Drawing a few circles here. My guard dog is very active when she hears any noise outside the door. All right, and switching sides. Left knee in towards your left shoulder. Right leg extends long. Lola, your right leg is at a hover. Your right toes are flexed. Tuck your chin into your chest and hover your shoulders. Maybe point, flex, circle out that ankle. Whatever feels good to you in that stretch today. Come here, Lola. Go ahead and lower the right leg. Lower your shoulders down towards the floor. With your right hand, grab the outside of your left knee. Draw it across the right side of your body. Gazing, looking over your left shoulder. Really feeling that deep stretch all along your spine. You can extend that left arm. You can also bend it to 90. Coming back to center. Keeping that left knee in towards your left shoulder. Just doing a few circles here. Reversing the direction. Draw both of your knees back in towards your chest. And then bring the soles of your feet up. Option to grab the back side of your thighs. You can also grab the outside of your ankles. Maybe rolling side to side. Keeping your knees tucked in towards your armpits. You can come through center, come into Ninja Baby, extend one leg, and of course switching sides. You can extend both legs. You can draw the soles of the feet together, opening up the hips here. Go ahead and draw your knees back in towards one another. We're going to rock and roll ourselves a few times, but hover those feet when you get to the top. So rock up. And back, up. Give me 3 more. Maybe release your hands from your thighs, from your calves. That's it. 1 more. Once you get there, hover those feet and hold it for 10 and 9. That's 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Go ahead and extend your legs out in front. Cross your right ankle over your left thigh. Flex your right toes. Draw your left foot in towards your glutes. Maybe roll side to side for a nice hip stretch. Go ahead and come back to center. Extend your left leg out long. Extend your right leg. Cross your left ankle over your right thigh. And then draw your right sole of your foot in towards your glutes. Maybe roll from side to side. And then go ahead and extend that right leg long. Extend your left leg. Go ahead and find a seated position of your choice. You can bring right foot in front. You can bring left foot in front. You can bring your soles together, coming to a butterfly. Whatever is comfortable for you today. Maybe rock your hips side to side. Remember, bring the arms out by your hips. Draw them up towards the ceiling. Go ahead and tee out your arms. Cross your right arm across your body. Pulling that right arm towards your left shoulder. Open and switch. Left arm across your body, pulling that forearm towards your right shoulder. Open. Draw that right elbow wide behind your head, keeping your chin and chest lifted. Open and switch. Left elbow wide behind your head, chin and chest lifted. Open. Bring your hands down by your side. Keep your right hand planted down to the floor. We're going to sweep that left arm up and overhead. Bend your elbow, cactus that arm, extend your fingertips wide. Extend your left arm back overhead, bicep towards your ear, and then pivot, drawing that left hand down towards your right. Keep that left arm straight. Draw it out in front. Nice stretch of the shoulder, and then plant that left hand down on the floor. Swing your right arm up overhead. Cactus that arm, bending your elbow, extend your fingertips nice and wide. Draw your right bicep towards your right heel. Rotate down, bringing your right hand towards your left, and then bring it down in front. Bring your arms up, shoulders up. Rolling your shoulders up and back, and switching sides. Rolling them forward. Fantastic work, everyone, today. Thank you so very much. I hope you enjoyed as much as I did. Feel free to stretch anything additional that you may need to. Feel free to drink plenty of water. See you all next time. Thank you.